And here we are with a quick reminder of what we'll be looking for, particularly for road rally events and the historic categories 1 to 4. As ever, we'll start on the basis that we're doing the standard safety checks of lights, indicators, etc. This car has its towing point marked, and we can see it, in addition, it has an electrical cutout switch. Not absolutely essential for historics, but at least an effort's been made to improve the car for this type of event. Inside, we're looking at seats to make sure the seats are secure, well anchored, test to see any excessive movement, etc. Steering would be the same. Make sure we've got good movement of the wheel, no slop and play. The seat belts in this car have both got the standard 3-point from the manufacturers, but also some full harness belts inserted in the car with the correct mounting points. The lights on this particular model, there are only 2 main front beams, so the regulation about no more than 4 doesn't apply to this one. But we're also looking at things such as that the vehicle has an appropriate horn and that the wipers work, etc. Registration plates, we obviously need to make sure this vehicle is in roadworthy condition, and so registration plates front and rear as per the standards required. This particular vehicle is presented to us for scrutineering. It doesn't have the option of a hydraulic handbrake. It has its standard OEM handbrake, mechanical, but remember that the arc angle of any hydraulic handbrake that's in a historic vehicle shouldn't exceed the 50 degrees from horizontal. You can see in this car that all the appropriate trim is in place, the door cards, the headlining, the rear seats, etc. all fully in place, and all the carpets, etc. So this particular car is presented to us with a folder of its appropriate paperwork, which includes its logbook, the MOT certificate, which is valid, and in addition, this particular one has the FIA Historic Regularity Passport with it as well. And if you look through that, you can see that it's already specified regarding a waiver application that will have been made for some additional but FIA approved modifications. If we move round to the back of the vehicle, we can see that this vehicle also carries with it the spill kit requirement, because this one will be used on special tests within historic events. And this owner is also carrying a first aid kit, a warning triangle and an SOS board. While we're here, we can see that the spare wheel and toolbox, etc. are well secured and strapped down in the boot space of the vehicle. Next section is to look at the engine bay. As you can see from this image here, this particular car is fitted with 2 twin choke Weber carburetors with appropriate air filters in place. This is a wavered car, and this is an acceptable and homologated modification to this particular engine and model of car. In addition, we're obviously checking the battery, that it's well located, is secure, that the battery negative lead is clearly marked, that this vehicle has, as we can see, throttle return springs down in the throttle locations between the 2 carburetors, twin springs in place, and that everything else is neat and tidy. The bulkhead doesn't appear to have been interfered with in any way and appears completely secure. So from an engine bay point of view, this car looks well prepared and is ready for the event. And finally, as we go around the vehicle, The last thing we're going to check is that the tyres are up to the requirements. Remember, tyres must be road legal, and discussions will have taken place with the clerk as to whether he wants checks doing at the end of the event to make sure that the tyres are still road legal at the end. So these particular tyres with this vehicle, this model of car, were originally available on 13-inch steel rims or 14-inch alloys. This one's running 14-inch alloys, and as we can see, they're 185 65 R14s, which keeps it well within the original OEM manufacturer's specification and therefore within the regulations that we're looking out for. Interestingly, these are also E-mark tyres, and I know in some regions of the country there have been issues raised by local constabulary, but here we are, standard 185 65 R14 tyres, perfectly acceptable. Remember that the OEM sizes can be increased by a maximum of 10% or 1 inch wider. Maximum rim width would be 6 inch unless the OEM was larger, particularly in categories 2 to 4.